Good afternoon and good evening, everyone. I'm Rafael. I'm one of the board of directors for the Minnesota Blockchain Initiative. I am blessed to have been asked by everyone's favorite Eric Kagama to be able to sit in and moderate a panel discussion today with Katherine Johnson, who is the head of people at Storage Inc., and a friend of mine, I would say a fellow dad, Matthew Bowen, who is a wonderful attorney, understands security and blockchain at a level that really is not something you find in too many attorneys these days. And I'd like to turn it over. We're going to do some intros today, and I want to try a different method. Matt, I'll start with you. If you were about to give a TED Talk and you had to do a 30-second intro, how would you introduce yourself? What would you highlight? And this is a time when you're able to do a little bit of humble brag.
Okay. I'm Matt Bowen. I have a legal background. Early in my career, I got into financial services and financial regulation at a bank. In 2017, I left banking to focus on blockchain and fintech because I saw that was sort of where I still believe the future of finance is headed. I like the Gretzky quote, I don't skate to where the puck is, I skate to where it's going. And I was, at a young enough place in my career that I felt like I could see where the puck was going. And I left banking to pursue, my passion in technology. And that kind of focus necessarily expanded to corporate law, securities law, M&A, transactional, a whole lot of, contract writing. I still do a lot of that. I try to minimize my practice of law these days. I've got a startup where I can't avoid it anyway, but called Summon Platform, which is kind of a Web3 business platform that is kind of in its initial version. We launched it a few weeks ago, and it's doing well, I'd say. And also into asset tokenization and working with Eric Kagama, who we all know, he's in the room, our gracious host, on a very cool tokenization project called Liquid Cell that we just recently announced, and we'll have more news on soon. So I stay busy with those two things, and then in addition, I have a 1-year-old, and that's really my priority, is being a dad. I love that, and I just try to kind of get as much get involved as much as I can in areas of tech that I like, and we'll also balancing that with raising a child. So I don't think that was probably more than 30 seconds.
No, that was wonderful. I always appreciate when people talk about the fact that we're parents, because it instantly forces us to think 100 years down the road. So Katherine, you and I had the wonderful pleasure of connecting last night as well at a different event. And so it's good to see your face here today. I'm always so thankful when I can hear you speak, because the ability with which you're able to communicate some problems that are large that we all need to be able to distill and talk about at a way is very clear as to why you're in the role that you are with storage. Same question in terms of, if this was your TED Talk, how would you introduce yourself in about 30 seconds?
That's such a great question. I'll try and do 30 seconds. I don't know if I can, but great to see you too. So we have Matt and I have some interesting overlaps that we only recently discovered. You could say they're coincidence, but that's a really good question. Are they? I also left the world of bank regulatory compliance in 2017 to come over to the world of blockchain and cryptocurrency. My background is I started out practicing law in New York many moons ago, doing large corporate work, white shoe law firm work, and then moved into regulatory compliance after doing SEC defense work, but always had a smattering of my pre-law life, which was essentially poverty rights advocacy. I was the child of a single mom who spent her nights working in a potato chip factory in a small town in Wisconsin. And so out of high school, I started working, in areas where I was able to help other people who were struggling through poverty and trying to get ahead. I had a daughter at a young age, right out of high school, so she was my companion in college. And but then I realized, I need to get a job that's not dependent on, programs that are, funded by the public to help people in similar situations, which was what I was doing. I was developing programs for returning adult students and the like. So I decided to go to law school. Went to law school, moved to New York, worked at Fried Frank, worked for Judge Swain for 2 years, got involved in areas of professional responsibility and kept a pro bono practice going. Found myself getting farther and farther away from those ideals that had fueled that work, and was disenchanted ultimately with how distant I had become from it. Decided to take a break from law, and I was just going to go on sabbatical. And that's when I got a call from a recruiter for Coinbase asking if I wanted to go work for a startup in California. And at that point I was, let me learn a little bit about this. And as I did, everything all of a sudden made sense. So why all the years learning this, very traditional compliance, bank regulatory work, when I was a Spanish major. And so I ended up moving over to the world of digital assets to, follow that mission of creating an open financial system for the world. And so that's how I got started. Ultimately, from California, moved back to the Midwest to be closer to family, and had gotten involved with storage as an advisor, which was started by Sean Wilkinson when he was a student at Morehouse, using a distributed cloud storage system fueled by blockchain payments. And from there, I ended up joining them full time as their head of people, legal, and compliance. And I've been there since September 2019.
Well, this is wonderful. I want to be cognizant of the fact that this is a very intimate group. You don't